Cerridwen, and we're in the Cerridwen room, and I'm here with three of my sisters. And at the moment, we're talking a little bit about what the Cerridwen training has brought to us. And we've got, from the right to left, we've got the lovely Jackie, who has been a priestess for 2 years. We've got the lovely Elaine, who's about to initiate as a priestess of Cerridwen and is a priestess of Kerno. And we've got the lovely Ruth, who is also going to initiate as a priestess of Cerridwen. And they have done their training, those two lovely ladies have done their training through COVID, which obviously brought its own challenges. And they've come through it with flying colours, and they're still sitting here without nervous breakdowns, although there has been a lot of transformation. But I'd like to talk to Jackie first and just see how the training and how subsequently as a priestess you feel you've grown in your role as a priestess. So if I just swing you around a little bit, then we've got you. Okay, my darling. So what do you think?
When I first enrolled on the course, I was in a pretty bad place. It was only 18 months since my husband had passed away. And that caused a great upheaval in my life. And I really certainly wasn't expecting to be called by Cerridwen, and it took me some time to realise that it was her calling me. I'd had an experience in the temple where I was told to help people, and I thought about the priestess course, and believe it or not, it took me a couple of months to realise that it was supposed to be Cerridwen's course I should do and not any of the others. And I started on it, and the first thing was obviously to develop a more spiritual aspect. I'd been a pagan for about 10 years before that, but it had some spiritual element, but not a great depth, and mainly because there wasn't a sort of concrete path or person to follow. So it provided some discipline, which was one of the things that was important to me, was intellectual discipline, because I'd been a solitary Wiccan, so you can just pick out the things that appeal to you and that you like. And I knew there would be things on this course that I would find difficult, or that I would not take to, wouldn't resonate with me. But because it was a course, and I don't like to use the word had to do them, but had to do them as part of the course, at least I've tried them. And some I've liked or been better at than I thought I would be. Others, now they're not for me, but at least I know more about them now to describe it to somebody else. And I found myself amongst people of like minds, so I've made a great deal of friends through it, including B, who's been a very good friend to me during the last 4.5 years. And the other thing is, because you're doing a lot of inner work, particularly in that first year, I began to examine myself. So whenever I have a negative reaction to anything, I have a look at it, I see where that comes from, I see whether the actual negative reaction is justified, because it can be, or whether it's something in me that's making me react like that. I don't think everything is caused by a failing within myself. Sometimes, as I say, that reaction is justified, but I do find myself checking every time now as to which it is. And I think that's very helpful, because if you work out whether your reaction is caused by a teeny bit of jealousy, or because somebody reminds you of somebody nasty in the past, or whatever it is, it's very good to know where that is coming from. So that's been a bonus. And it's helped me cope more with stressful things in my life, with problems. People who knew me before I became a priestess are saying to me that they can see how much I've grown and changed. So I would say to anybody out there who's thinking of giving it a go, if you feel that Cerridwen is calling you, then give it a try.
And you would know if Cerridwen is calling you, because she's quite light.
She is very, very blunt. At least I found her very, very blunt. In fact, when I got my sat nav on my car, and it says turn right, I found myself saying yes, Cerridwen, because that is how I hear a voice in my head.
Every now and then. I mean, she can be incredibly loving as well, can't she? And
Yes,
supportive.
she is, but
Yeah.
if she wants you to do something, you know about it usually.
Yeah. And you've been an enormous part from the beginning of your path with us, of the Dark Moon rituals. You've held a lot of vigils with us. We did a ritual yesterday for the people in Plymouth and for the souls. So you've really been able to stretch yourself as a priestess, because I believe when you first started with us, I don't think you necessarily would have thought that one day you'll be on a video across Facebook doing a ceremony for lost souls.
I was really quite shy, and I still am really, other than when I'm amongst friends. But doing public ritual, I go somewhere else, and I call in Cerridwen, and I do it as a priestess. And that's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, it's your priestess self that then comes really forward, which
Definitely.
is lovely to see.
Definitely. I mean, I did my first ritual as lead priestess at the end of the first year. It was the season of water, and we did it, and it went fairly well. One tiny error, which I won't repeat here, but one tiny little error that didn't really matter in the whole thing. I was
but
absolutely...
nobody else knew it, only you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with ceremonies. You know, nobody knows what you're going to be doing, so you can do whatever you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, it's been surprising to me really that I can do such a public role, because I never thought I could. I was used to being the support role, if you like.
And we've done embodiments here in the temple where you were present, and we thought we were going to get 3 or 4 people, and we were open from 6 o'clock in the evening until 12 o'clock at midnight, and people came flying through, and you smudged and taken care of everyone, and it was a lot of hard work, but you really enjoyed it.
Yes.
I could see the joy of being able to help people in their grief, especially around Samhain.
Definitely, I've definitely discovered that my nature, one of the key aspects, is wanting to be a helper, wanting to do something useful for people, because I do that in my normal day job. So yes, it's nice to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and to feel that you were playing your part in it, however small, that you were playing your part in it. That's very rewarding.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for being so frank with us, and thank you for all your service, because you do an amazing job. So we're going to go on to Elaine for a second, and just hello, darling.
Hello.
And Elaine is a priestess of Rhiannon. She's a priestess of Kurno, and she is about to be a priestess of Cerridwen. And I just wanted to know, what particular about the Cerridwen training is it that really made you feel that you wanted to be a part of this community?
Well, I first come across Cerridwen in person, so to speak, when I was doing the Priestess Kurno training. And I appreciated her strength and the fact that she's not one of the good girl goddesses, yeah? And Cerridwen turns up in the places where people most need a goddess. So she's a goddess of trauma, and she is there to help on your darkest nights. And she's a healer in so many ways, and she's also, on occasions, if you need it, quite a strict teacher. She will put you right when you're going off the track. And for me, there's a sense of wildness about her that I think we all carry with us. And I absolutely love that, because I was never a sort of very made up, perfect sort of woman. I've always been, the sort of head dragged through sort of look, and I'm not too worried about my appearance or anything. So she seemed more down to earth, more practical, and I really like that. And the fact that I've always associated her with Samhain, and the veil has always appealed to me. So that's why I started with her. What has she brought me? Well, as B said, I've been doing priestess training for a long time now, and every time I do any sort of training, I learn from it. And in my arrogance, I thought that perhaps I'd done, I'd done a lot of self-work. I'd been through a lot of shadows and I thought I was doing okay. And, the last 2 years have been on a totally different level. In fact, one of the things that I was saying to Cerridwen when we were going through the season of water was, thank you for teaching me to let my emotions flow and not damn them. Because that's one of the things that I'd always done. I'd always sort of like tried to put a lid on everything and, I'll get through this. I'm not going to process it. I'll just get through it and then I'll forget about it. But of course, you're then left with it and you get triggered all the time. And let's say I've just had an interest in life and leave it at that. But I had a lot of triggers. So working with Cerridwen has allowed me to sort of pick through things. What I've got to say is nobody foresaw COVID and it's all gone into lockdown and everything. And I was rather worried because we sort of like just started the course, just started to get to know each other. Oh, they're a great bunch. This is all brilliant. And then COVID hit and we all got locked down. And then B just stood up and went sort of beyond the call of duty and did everything she could to get us through, to give us the information we needed, to keep us all together. And yes, I love my goddess, and B has taught me ways of connecting with her that I didn't know before. But she was a shining star that really did lead us on the right path. So I've got nothing but admiration for her or Cerridwen, and I know that I've changed. I know that I'm more satisfied with myself, which perhaps sounds a bit strange, but once you feel it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's taken me back on the healer path that, because of force of circumstances and relocation and just having to get a job to survive, I'd sort of left behind for many years. And I really love that. I didn't realise how much I missed it. So, yeah, there's so many things. And I love the discipline. I love the discipline of calling in every day. I love the chance to do ceremony. I love the chance to, well, do all the incredible things that we've done in the last 2 years. It's just been brilliant.
Tell me something about the last weekend in the season of the mother, because a lot of people see Cerridwen just as a death goddess. What did we do? Tell us a little bit about what we did last weekend, because we went a bit wild, didn't we?
Well, yes.
What did we do?
Well, see, this is the thing. Cerridwen is in the places where people need her. So we were going through the time of the mother, and we did lots of womb blessings to encourage a child to take root. We did a lot of work on infertility for people that really, really yearned for a child and just didn't manage to, but hopefully, with our combined energy and all the rest of it, we did ritual upon ritual upon ritual, which sort of accumulated in lots of things to do with starting a pregnancy. And then we also did queenings, which was wonderful. And the sense of joy was just marvellous. So yeah, that was an amazing weekend. That was besides having to look at our relationship with our mothers on a deeper level than we did last year, which is not easy for some of us. It was just incredible.
I think you talked about those rituals. I think for me that weekend is how we did the healing through the mother line as well. For
Yes.
that was just so powerful, wasn't it? Really powerful. Yeah.
And Ruth, you were one of the ladies that had her queenie.
Yes, I was. Yeah, it was amazing, absolutely amazing, and I'll never forget it. It was really magical, and at a time in my life where it really sort of helped me move into the next phase of my life. It was quite transformative, to be fair.
And it was created by one of your sisters. You had chosen your own team for your ceremony, and your sister called out to her sisters, and you were all together, and they created this amazing, beautiful thing, ceremony for you, didn't they?
It was absolutely magical. I could almost like tear up just thinking about it. It was just so lovely and just so full of love, and it was just so supportive and encouraging, and it just really, I left that feeling that I could do anything. You know, it wouldn't matter what life threw in my direction or what have you. It was just, I was part of this incredibly solid family that would see me through anything. You know, and with Cerridwen right at the centre of that, it's really, really powerful, really powerful stuff. I've never experienced, you know, and I come from a background where I've got some incredibly wonderful friends. I've got a beautiful friends circle. I'm very fortunate in that, but I think the bond that we all share, there's something very deep and steadfast about it. It's as I say, and you know, I think what Cerridwen brings certainly into my life is a depth. I think there's to echo a few things that both Jackie and Elaine have said, in terms of what it's brought to my life. I think because, you know, over the years I've done lots of different types of healing and trainings, and so again I sort of came into this thinking, oh yes, I'm quite sorted, I've done all this work on myself, and it was like, okay then, yeah, right, okay, let's go to a whole new level of just shifting, and I think I'm trying to think, what's the word I'm looking for, the purity and the rawness of this is
There's
very
no pretense.
Absolutely, there's no flowers and hairy fairy, and not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but there's something very very grounded, very raw, very pure about all the things that we've learned. And some of the things I remember, I think it was one of the first weekends we came here, and we simply did some breathing. And I remember at the time I'd been going through some stuff, and it's like I remember crying in a way that I hadn't cried. I don't think I'd ever cried.
Together.
We were, weren't we?
Yeah.
Was it our first weekend? I think it was.
Might have been.
No, it was a Euro
second?
weekend, the second one. Yeah.
And I know that shifted stuff that I'd been sitting on for quite a long time, and I wasn't really aware that I was carrying around all this baggage, and this was purely by doing some breathing techniques and connecting with each other, and it was just wow. And I think one of the biggest things that I've experienced throughout the 2 years is that, because I've always loved nature, I've always loved animals and trees and crystals and all of that stuff, that's been very much a part of my life, but it's the connection to the soul of all of that, which it's almost like a whole new world has opened up. And I think particularly over a period of time where we've all been locked down and all that, it's almost been a gift, because it's allowed, it's so, you know, I have dogs, I'm out in nature every day, but it's been a very different way of experiencing that, going with the seasons and honouring my own energy within the seasons, and knowing and respecting, well, okay, at certain phases of the moon I'm going to feel differently. and it's helped explain me to myself.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I've been trying to say, well, okay, well, I'm a bit like that because I am a bit solitary as a person. And whereas I've always felt like, oh, that's something I've needed to work on, and I need to be, well, actually that's okay, because that's and I honour that, and it's made me feel a lot more secure in myself, I guess.
Yeah.
The fact that I could sit here in front of a camera and rattle off this stuff, and it's very empowering. It's very,
Yeah, but going to sort of like the Wheel of the Year and that, I really have. I mean, I've watched the Wheel of the Year and lived through the Wheel of the Year, and seen it as the Wheel of the Year for 4 years. But the last 2 years has given me a much deeper appreciation of it.
Yeah.
Sort of looking out for the different herbs at different times of the year, and just the way one thing flows into the other. And appreciating the energy more.
Yeah, I never thought I would get excited about seeing nettles growing.
Yes.
Nettles.
Yeah.
And the slight high we get from eating the nettle berries.
Yes.
Yay! Shh, don't tell anybody.
But I said to B, it's actually made driving around Cornwall quite dangerous, especially if the roads are clear, because I find myself crawling along going, oh look there's, wait, nothing's behind me, okay, right, I better speed up.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think, what must my neighbours think, because they see me coming back from my walks in the morning and I've got a particularly aesthetically pleasing stick. Or I'm coming back with hands of different plants, so I've got strands of mugwort that I'm carrying and stuff, and I quite often think, what on earth is she doing now? She brought home today.
Yeah, I was going to say, my neighbours sort of like, isn't that a weed? Because I started growing things in my garden. I've got a bit of a wild garden. So I bring things home with me and I plant them.
I've been doing that, repotting weeds.
Yeah. They're not weeds, darlings. They're all mothers. I actually noticed as we were walking into Goddess house this morning, under the step there's some really nice fresh dandelion leaves, and I had my eyes on those for the salad tonight. So I'm just gonna be, hello, I'm just gonna take these dandelion leaves, if you don't mind, for my salad for tea later on. Thank you so much, darlings. It's been an absolute joy. We just wanted to explain a little bit, and one of the things that I absolutely love, obviously we are the singing order, and we don't our if you would like to hear some of our songs, there's some on the Goddess Temple side and on the Goddess House side. But when we dedicated Imbala last year, we went a bit wild, and one of the things that we sang was Wild Thing. We're not going to sing it for you right now, and the other one that is a signature song for the Cerridwen girls is Dancing Queen. We were singing that for the queen, for Ruth's queening.
Yes.
So
I will never forget that. That is one thing I really, really loved. And passing you around the circle, so you got to dance with all of us.
Yeah, and that was off the cuff. I just thought, let's do a bit of dancing with Ruth. So we are very spontaneous. We are very mad. We cackle like the witches we are, because Cerridwen is a witch.
It's proper laughter. It's not having to restrain it and be girly.
No.
Yeah. Just let it out.
Let it all out.
Enjoy the joy.
Absolutely. And that's the hope and the joy. And that, so I one of the things that I'd like to dispel a little bit of for people is that this is a sad, boring course, No, we're all a bit mad. And if you see us on the high street and you see, I'm sure that Jackie has got hers somewhere. So if you see on the high street some women with these wonderful hats, the Cerridwen crew has decided that this is going to be their hats, and not because they look like undertakers, but because they look like...
Because they're incredibly cool.
They are incredibly cool. So see one of those and
New
know...
Orleans and the street parties.
You will know that you are in the company of priestesses of Cerridwen. It's been lovely talking to you girls. I'm so grateful, and blessed be.
Blessed be.